Okay. So let me go back to the beginning now. Okay, if you can see it, could you give me a head nod? I can only see like 4 of you. Okay, great. So this whole team call was kind of birthed from an experience that I had at the mall a couple weeks ago, and also from a couple of invites that I've gotten from girls from other companies lately that I'm just like, please, please, please do not let myself or anybody on our team sound this way. Okay, so I'm going to start with a story that I experienced just 2 weeks ago. So I was walking through the mall. I'm sure you're all going to relate with this exact story because you have so been there. I'm walking through the mall with my friend, and we are power walking to Chick-fil-A because we're starving. And I walk by this kiosk, and this girl literally takes a step in front of me to stop us, and she asked me if I would like to buy this straightener. My hair is in a bun, number one. Like, I don't want to talk about straightening my hair. I do not want to give you a try at straightening my hair because that sounds terrible. I don't know you. I'm like obviously in a hurry to get somewhere, and I don't want to have this conversation right now. So obviously I ignored her. I literally did not say a word. I probably looked her away, stepped to the side, and kept going to avoid her at all costs. And that's what I do every single time I'm at the mall. Like, so many people have tried to sell me makeup or straighteners or like those sticky balls that you throw at the wall, and I'm like, don't look at them. I don't want to make eye contact because no, I don't want your eyeliner or your microblading or whatever. So as I walked by, I started thinking, I wonder how many people feel that way online whenever people are trying to sell them things. So then I started thinking, what would make me buy her straightener? And I began to think of my hair lady, my lovely hair lady named Sarah. I see Sarah every 6 to 8 weeks because I love Sarah, because I trust Sarah, and because we have a relationship. So kiosk lady, don't even know her name. But the girl who does my hair, who I have a relationship with, her name is Sarah, and I love her. So I see her all the time. She literally knows more about me than probably most people. For example, she knew that I was going full-time with coaching before just about anyone else. And the only relationship I have with her is whenever she does my hair. So she also knew when I was in the market for a new hair straightener because I had told her that. And I offered her the information that I needed a straightener, and she began to tell me exactly what I needed. She asked me the details of like what I was looking for in a straightener, what I was currently using, and told me, didn't ask me, but literally told me the straightener that I needed to buy. And guess what? I bought the straightener because I love Sarah and I trust Sarah and we have a relationship. So I started thinking, I think that we can apply this same exact principle to what we do as coaches and what we do in helping women online. So it all starts with building relationships. And if this is something that you are not doing, if you are currently doing things that sound a lot more like the kiosk girl than Sarah, that is totally okay, because we're going to teach you that there is a better way to actually make your business really successful. And it all starts with building relationships. And just so you know, what you're doing online, or even if you're doing this in person, your business really does start and your community really is built with one conversation with one girl at a time. And I also want you to know that your business and your relationships will grow because of who you are as a person, not at all because of what you're selling, and most likely not at all because of health and fitness. So the first way you do this is you create engagement. You want people to want to come to your page. You want people to want to engage with you. So the first thing I'm going to say might be a little bold, but if people never respond to your stories, and if people never comment on your posts, you need to make a change, because that means you are not being relatable. And I'm not telling you that you need to like go out of your way to be relatable or like think of new and exciting ways to be relatable. You just be real, you just be honest, and that is going to be relatable. Whoever you are in real life, that's what people want to see. So I want us to get into the mindset of being community builders. You are building a community in your challenge groups, and you are also building a community online. So you want people to be interested in what you're doing. A couple ways that really, really work well when you're building community. First of all, think of those girls that you follow. Think of girls that, or think of maybe even your mentor coach. Why did you follow her? Why did you think about joining her? That's going to give you some really good clues into how you should be sharing. Some other people that you think about are who are other accounts you follow that don't even belong to this world at all, and what keeps you following them and what keeps you engaged in their community, and maybe try to borrow some of their ideas. Some of the ways that I really like to build community on my page, and for the sake of building those personal one-on relationships. First thing is ask for opinions. You have a humongous variety of women on your page who have a huge variety of professions. So anytime you need opinions on literally anything, I'm not kidding, ask for opinions. People will message you. People will comment on your posts every single time without fail when you ask for opinions. Just a few examples. I asked one time, how do you make sure you get all your water in? Because I struggle with water. I ask all the time, should I wear this or should I wear that? Today I went on my post and I said, I scratched my throat with a chip last night, and I did. It hurt so bad and it's still hurting today. And I asked for opinions on how I can quickly heal that because it's hurting and it's bothering me. You know how many nurses message me, or how many like girls who do, especially the essential oils, they message me, and that's okay. I don't care who's messaging me. I just want to build relationships with them and get a conversation going. So literally every single time you ask an opinion about anything, whether it's hair, food, cleaning your house, a product you want to buy, people are going to respond, and that is the goal. Show more normalcy. Show that you clean your house. Show that you wash the dishes. Show that you brush your dog. Speaking of dog, Ethan, will you come let Murph out? Anything normal, people want to see that. And show what's relatable. This is probably gonna be the craziest thing, and I'm not suggesting that you need to be as weird as I am, but one of the things that I got the most engagement on ever is my mom bought me this trimmer for facial hair for women, and I showed myself on my story using this trimmer. I showed myself, like, I showed the actual trimmer, showed the brand, all that, and showed myself like literally trimming. Because do you know how many women feel alone in the weirdness that goes on whenever they're alone? Like, how many of us probably, you know, like, take care of our facial hair, but nobody wants to talk about it. I talk about those things because that's comfortable for me. I'm not suggesting that you do that, but people want to know that you are a relatable person. Something else I get comments on all the time is like, whenever I use dry shampoo, I wash my hair once a week. People love to hear about that. It's gross, maybe, to some people, but people respond because it's just normal. I'm a normal girl, and people want to know that they're signing up and they're building a relationship with somebody who is just normal. And then lastly, don't talk about things that are just related to health and fitness. And I would argue, like, I don't know what percentage that I talk about things that are not health and fitness, but it's a lot. The girls that you are trying to attract, especially to your challenge groups, they're not in love with health and fitness. If they were, they would already have something that they're doing, and they wouldn't really need your help. They're going to be attracted to you because of all the other things that are not health and fitness. So make sure you share about every single part of your life, whether that is your job, your marriage, your house, things you're afraid of. I've shared before about hating being alone, and I get all kinds of messages about stuff like that. People message me way more about things that are not health and fitness related. And then my go-to topics down there that have nothing to do with health and fitness, being weird, fashion, Murph, coffee, Jesus, and advice on anything. Okay, making connections. Sometimes it is okay to just make connections and stop there. If you're coming in hot and trying to make a sale every single time you're trying to build a relationship, you will be the kiosk girl. There's no doubt about it. A lot of my time on social media is spent just building relationships with no expectation, no intention of making a sale. Now, I will say, in the back of my mind, I'm always thinking, you know what? I hope that eventually she comes around and she's a coach or she joins my group. But you have to lay the foundation first of actually building a relationship. So on the left side, that is me just responding to people who make comments on my posts. Anytime anybody says anything on your post, you need to respond to them. And then on the right side, that was me reaching out to a girl. I asked earlier this week, Ethan, it's gotta be really loud. I asked earlier this week about, has anybody been sick? And this girl responded to me that she had been sick. I can't remember exactly what she said, but I then took that opportunity after she responded to my question to reach out to her and ask her about it, just so we could have a conversation and I could build the foundation of that relationship that I saw her comment and I was seeking to build a relationship with her. These people that I responded to, They've not joined my groups. They are not coaches, but one of these girls on the left side that I just simply responded to and have kept responding to, I have a conversation scheduled with her to be a coach later this week. So building the relationship matters. Had I reached out to her immediately and gone straight into the conversation about being a coach, I probably would have scared her off. But I've been building a relationship with this girl for weeks. All right. If you believe business is built on relationships, make building them your business. I think that is so important. Without relationships, you become a salesman. Without relationships, you become the kiosk girl. You have to build relationships. It is non-negotiable. I am Paige Farr, the girl who teaches, the girl who is married, the girl who owns a golden doodle, the girl who is weird, who happens to sell something online. I do not want people to think of my business when they think of me. So think about what your followers are getting from your page. If they automatically go to health and fitness, they don't know you well enough. They need to know all parts of you, and they need to know those parts, I would argue, almost more than the health and fitness part of you, because think about how much that is of you, really. The percentage that I spend eating and working out is a very small part of who I am, so they need to know all of you. All right, be a conversation creator. Something I do regularly is I'll set a timer for 15 minutes and I go create genuine conversation with women's stories and with their posts. Make a promise to yourself, and I'm bad about this too, I need to get better. Do not scroll unless you have the intention of making a real connection. Scrolling is pointless. Scrolling is not going to move your business forward. So if you are on social media and you're doing that, it is to seek new relationships and get to know women better. So a couple ways that I do this. If I am trying to build a relationship or create conversation with people who I think would make good coaches, here's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for girls who have similar interests. I'm going to comment about our similar interests. I'm looking for girls who show up daily, because you know there are girls who post every single day and they're not really doing anything with it. They just love social media. I'm looking for girls who post about health stuff, but they're not currently doing what I'm doing. And I'm looking for girls who are naturally speaking life to other people on social media. You know there are those people who show up every day and they're posting inspirational things they're trying to encourage. I'm going to try to get her, because she is building community already on social media, and I want to build a relationship with a girl who's doing that. And then when I'm looking for challengers, I'm literally talking about anything. I'm just trying to build those connections. Cold thank yous. Literally the only cold message I would ever send would be a cold thank you. And I really don't think of them as cold, because I only send thank yous to girls who like my stuff or follow me. And here are a few examples. So for a random follow, I might say, Jessica, thanks so much for following my crazy life. I hope you find daily inspiration here. And usually she's going to say, yes, I'm so inspired by you, blah, blah, blah. And we're going to have a conversation. Second one, for girls who you know would make great coaches. Rachel, I checked out your page. When I saw you followed me, I saw your feed is so pretty. What's your mission here on Instagram? That has been like a game-changing question. I love it. And then actually I cannot read my other one because your faces are covering it. But it says, Lacey, thanks so much for following my health journey. Are you looking for inspiration for your own journey? I think is what I said.
Workshop?
And those are for girls who you think might be interested in your group. When they respond, keep the conversation going. Ask them lots of questions about themselves. And I bet, because I've seen from experience, the more you ask about her, she's eventually going to start asking about you, and then hello invitation, because you're on the track of having that conversation. And of course, when she asks about you, you can tell her what you're doing. And it's going to lead into the conversation about health and fitness, but it has to start by you building that foundational relationship that's you interested in her. I promise, if you ask enough questions, she's going to want to ask about you too. That's just natural. All right, reach outs from polls or posts. I literally make sure that I am reaching out to every single person who votes on my polls before the 24 hours is up. If you don't know, they'll still be in your archives after 24 hours, so you can still go back and respond, but I make it my mission to respond before the 24 hours is over. And here are some things I say. Hey, Julie, I saw your vote. I would love to help you learn about how to eat mindfully. What's your biggest nutrition or struggle with nutrition? So always ending with a question, because they're much more likely to answer, especially when you're asking like a really pointed question that you actually want an answer to. Second one, Rachel, thanks for the love on my post about paying off debt. It's been quite the journey. Are you working on paying off some debt too? I love that, because when I'm sharing about debt, it's because I want them to know about the coaching opportunity. So then whenever we continue the conversation, because I genuinely want to know about her journey too, she's going to ask me about how I'm paying off my debt, and I'll get to go into the coach opportunity. And it's such an easy way to start that conversation. And I actually cannot see any of the last one because you're covering it, but I'm sure you can read it. And I know I ended it with a question. So those are just some ideas. Make them personal and always end with a question. All right, bottom line. Community organizing is all about building grassroots support. It's about identifying the people around you with whom you can create a common, passionate cause, and it's about ignoring the conventional wisdom of company politics and instead playing the game by very different rules. I love this, and I love that it says it's about building that grassroots support, because it really is you building relationships with one girl at a time. You are not going to build a community by always talking to the community. You are building your community, you are building your support one person at a time. So you have to make sure that the relationship is always the first thing on your mind. Now, I'm going to pass it off to Megan, because she's going to teach you how to really get the conversation moving and make sure you get a yes whenever you do start having that really big conversation about joining a group or coaching.
Yay! So it is, I have to have you unshare so that I can share mine. I didn't realize that we had to do that. So when you unshare, I can. Which is crazy because, let's be real, it's the exact same slides, but that's okay. All right. Okay. Let me know. Can you guys see this? Can you see this page? Yeah. Okay. Good. I can see you guys. Okay. Let me make sure I'm on the right thing. Okay. So awesome. All of that was like the beginning steps, which is like so crucial to getting to where I am. I think a lot of us think that like what I'm about to talk about like just automatically happens. Like we automatically get people that are like, I'm interested, tell me more, tell me everything, I want to do this. And it doesn't always happen that way. Sometimes it does, but it doesn't always happen that way. So I want to talk you guys through, this is the, you've talked about, they're interested in health and fitness, or they are interested in what you have to offer. And this is how to get from there to the yes at this point. Okay, so I'm going to talk to you guys about how to get that yes. And I'm gonna like not brag on myself, but my percentage of people who we get to the point that they're interested in learning about what we have to offer to the yes, I'm committed is very, very high. So I think that this is very simple. It is the same flow that I have with every conversation that I have, pretty much, and it works like gold. So I'm going to ask you guys to adopt it today. First thing I do is I ask questions. I'm going to share the two main questions that I ask, and then we're going to move from there. Second thing is there's sometimes you have to dig a little bit deeper. So some people give surface level answers, so you got to dig deeper, and I'm going to show you guys how to do that. The third thing is to talk up the accountability group, and I'll explain how you guys can do that in a really simple, short, concise way. And then 4, you're going to tell them what they would get with your accountability group, and you're going to jump in with the price. Do not shy away from the price. I think that it is something that you should be proud of. You should be excited to share. And so that's something that I always put in the conversation, not at the very beginning. You'll see it's one of the last things we talk about, but it is something that I don't wait for them to ask for the price. I share it up front. Couple of things before I get into kind of the flow of the conversation. Always end what you are saying with a question. So never leave the conversation with just like giving information and assuming that they're going to respond back to you. If you ask a question, they should in conversation flow, they will respond back to you. Be confident and be in command of your conversation. Okay. So that confidence, even if you have to, like, before you answer a message, before you get on the phone, if you have to like speak, you like talk yourself up and say like, you can do this. You're awesome. You're going to do a great job in this conversation. Like, what I have to offer is great. And someone needs what I have to offer. If you need to do that to yourself, then by golly, do it. Like, I am totally all about positive affirmations. And if you need to do those before you start having conversations, then do that. In being in command of the conversation means that you are clear, concise in what you're saying, and you are asking a question. So you are constantly having that back and forth, and you are asking for a response after each thing that you give. And then anticipate objections. They're going to come up. I get price objections all the time. I can kind of start telling if someone's going to go with, like, they're a little apprehensive about price. I can tell in the conversation if they are going to give me the whole, like, I maybe don't have time for this. I can tell those things are going to come just by, like, kind of like how they talk. So let's say, let me get in the questions and I'll talk about how to kind of anticipate objections as I go. Oh no. Okay, there you go. Okay, these are the 2 questions that I ask. If you have been in any of our training before, you will be like, oh, well, this isn't anything new. Well, no, because you don't need to ask super fancy questions. I ask, what goals are you looking to achieve? And then hopefully they answer what goals they're looking to achieve. And then the next question I ask is, what's the biggest barrier holding you back from making those happen? That is it. Those are typically the 2 questions that I ask. When they start talking about their goals, and I'll talk a little bit, like, if they give you short and sweet kind of answers versus long answers, what to do with that. But if they start in their goals, start talking about just how busy they are, or the barriers, if they start talking about how busy they are and they have this that they do and they have this and they have a couple of kids and they work these crazy hours and all that kind of stuff, you can kind of lead to their objection is going to be time. So you're going to have to, in your responses, really reiterate that they can do this. The biggest thing is you've got to breathe belief in them. You've got to constantly be telling them that they can achieve those goals. They're going to achieve those goals. They will get to those goals, because a lot of these women are interested, but maybe they don't believe that they can do it. So if you are constantly getting objections, price objections, time objections, things like that, that is most likely an excuse. It is not actually them, they are, let me see how I want to say this. Most of the time it is an unbelief that they can do it, rather than the actual objection of what they are saying. So you have to kind of dig in under those. So I'm going to talk about that here in a little bit. Golly, these slides are driving me nuts. Okay, there you go. Okay, so with asking questions, remember I asked those 2 questions. If they write you a book, how many of you have gotten that before? You ask about their goals and they literally like type out that much to you. Okay, if they write that book, move through that conversation quickly. That is my number 1 sign that this girl wants it. She knows what she wants. She knows what she needs to do to get there, and she's ready to commit. If they give a very surface level short answer, that's when you need to dig deeper in the conversation. So you're going to have to ask more than those 2 questions. So let's say, for example, I said, what are your goals? And they come back with, I want to lose 10 to 15 pounds. Okay, y'all, for real. Like, that is like the most surface level answer possible of what their goals are. Okay, so you need to ask a couple of more questions to get into those goals before you go into what her barriers are. So don't scoot through those questions really quickly. If they give really short answers, dig in a little bit more until you move on to that next question. So some things you could say is, tell me more about whatever. And this is more for barriers. So tell me more about your struggles with food. So if they said their biggest barrier is food, that's their only answers. That's what they tell you. Tell me about what you struggle with food. Tell me why you want that goal. So tell me why you want to lose 10 to 15 pounds. What would it feel like to achieve 10 to 15 pounds? So really like just ask a little bit more if they're giving those surface levels. What about your blank is your biggest barrier? So, you know, if they said food, what about your food is your biggest barrier? What about consistency is your biggest barrier? What about time? If they said their biggest barrier is time, what about that? So just kind of get them to just more self-reflect more than anything, because maybe they haven't asked these questions to themselves or really even thought about them much before. And we'll share these slides. We can share these slides with you guys. So if you're like trying to frantically write down. So the next step is explain the accountability group. You guys, you've got to keep this simple though. And I'll explain here in a little bit, but here's some things of what I would say. Once again, I'm breathing that belief in them. You're going to definitely lose those last 5 pounds with our Fit Tribe. I suggest you naming your accountability group. I don't like the word our accountability group because I feel like every Beachbody coach uses the word accountability group or challenge group. So even if it is boot camp or whatever it is, but name it for you. So you're going to definitely lose those last 5 pounds with our Fit Tribe. It's a place to daily check in with your workouts and eating, but there's so much motivation with everyone else checking in. You'll want to get those workouts in also. You also get my own personal meal plans each week. Sound like something you'd like. These are a little bit different each time because I try to tailor how I talk about the accountability group to what their barriers are. So this person probably talked a little bit about motivation or struggling with, you know, consistency with getting their workouts in. If they're talking about food being a struggle of theirs, I'm really going to amplify the fact that, you know, I ask them to share their eating each day. I share my own meal plans. So you kind of want to like amplify the part of the accountability group that they really need. Because you don't want to like explain every little bit of it. And then another one would be like, oh my gosh, you're going to become so much more confident in your food choices with my Fit Tribe. So breathing that belief, that's what this person was afraid of. This is what they're going to achieve. We check in each day with our workouts and eating, but also keep it real and uber positive. You get my weekly meal plans with the recipes you think you like that. So a couple of things I want you guys to notice with this. Whoop, let me go back one. One, tell them often that they're going to meet their goals. Once again, that belief has got to be there. You have to believe that you can do it for them. They have to believe that they can do it. Explain in 1 to 2 sentences what the group entails. No more. Do not tell more than 1 or 2 sentences. And then ask if they'd like it or if they'd see themselves having some success with that. So always ending it with a question. Okay, and then my last thing that I talk about is what they'll receive. For me, what has worked for me is having bullet points, every little piece of what they get. This can get long. There are times whenever I am in like messaging back and forth in Instagram, and I have to literally send this in 2 messages, and I do it. But I think that they need to see what all they're going to get for that price, because it blows my mind, especially like all the little booklets that they're getting now and the trackers and things like that. Like that's just like such valuable things that someone's not going to get from a gym membership. Someone's not going to get from a nutritionist. Someone's not going to get from all these little pieces. They get the total package with us, and I want them to see that. So here's how I'll say it. You'll receive all of the following. I say a full year of guided workout programs. If I am kind of tailoring it to a certain program, I'm going to add that. So this was for Transform 20, how I explained it. And I said, including exclusive access to Transform 20. 30 meals of a nutrient-dense shake you'll use as your breakfast. Daily wellness tracker to write down your workouts, food, struggles, and successes. And then I kind of add, like, this was my absolute favorite thing about Transform 20 was that tracker. A dry erase wall calendar to track your workouts. My personal, simple, whole food meal plans that go with the eating plans. Me, always include yourself, like you are a part of this package. So I always say me as your coach and access to my Fit Tribe for support and motivation. And then I say the price. This price is on sale now for $160. Obviously, it's not $160 anymore, so I wouldn't send that. And then I include in parentheses $20 off. If you have any questions, let me know. Or I said, if you don't have any questions, let me know and we'll get you registered. I always assume that they're going to purchase. I think that this is the greatest package ever. And so I don't say, do you think this will work for you? Or, let me know when you're ready. No, I want them to say, like, if you don't have any questions, so that means, like, if you have questions, obviously ask them. But if you don't have any questions, like, we're going to get you registered. We're going to get you registered today. We're going to get this done. I like that line. I've changed that. And I think that air of confidence just helps women say no, like, oh, dang, like she's for real. She's going to help me out and we're going to do this and we're going to get started. Like if someone's interested, I want to get them to commit. Because women will just have this like little inkling of doubt that they can't do it. And then they just it just falls apart. And I'm like, no, we're going to do this together. So anyways, I like that line. I suggest using it because I think that is a good way. And then I use ShareCart. I think that it's very professional. I feel like when I call it a registration email. So I don't say I'm going to send you a link because I think other network marketing companies, all of them say, I'll send you my link. No, I don't want them to send a link. I want them to have an official email from me so that it looks professional. Well, it doesn't come from me. It comes from Beachbody, but y'all get the point. Okay, and then before I send the ShareCart, I say the only thing I need to know is, 1, what flavor of Shakeology you'd like, what's your email, and then 2, which type of member you're interested in becoming. So I lay out, and I think I stole this from Caitlin Davidson, I think is where it came from. But I say, A, customer, you're going to work out, eat balanced lifestyle, have access and participate. B, loyal discount coach, same as a customer, but sign up with, I can't see it. Sign up with the title of coach to receive the 25% discount on any future orders. Or C, business builder, same as loyal discount coach, but also have a friend or two who'd like to join you in our groups and earn income and up your accountability. So I will say, those are not my words. I think I stole those from Caitlin, but they're good. If someone's, some people say, I just want to do customer, totally fine. Some people will say, what's a discount coach? And so most people ask more questions. So then you can bring up the conversation a little bit more about, okay, there is a $15 the following month, but at least they have the option. I've even had girls, like they were in my group for 2 weeks and they were like, okay, so I like the Shakeology a lot. Can I upgrade from customer to loyal discount coach? Because they remembered in our conversation earlier that they could do that. And so they are the ones coming to me instead of me having to go to them always. Not all the time, but that did happen with Transform 20, I remembered. Okay, last thing I want to share with you guys is people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And so asking those questions, like Paige said, building those relationships, building that community, like all of that works together. And it doesn't have to be overwhelming. It can be simple. I loved Paige's idea of setting a timer for 15 minutes, making those connections. When someone is interested, taking the time to ask those 2 questions and being willing to dig in a little bit deeper will be so huge. And I was not looking at the chat, so I will go back if anybody had questions.
I wanted to take a second and respond to one of the questions because it's a question I get a lot from girls. Is how do you go from chit-chatting to having the conversation that Megan was talking about? And I think that you can't expect to go from chit-chatting to that conversation. You have to understand that chit-chatting is building the relationship. And a lot of times the girls I chit-chatted with last month or maybe for the last 6 months are the girls that are going to end up signing up. I'm not going into the chit-chat expecting that she's going to sign up today. Now, there are those chit-chat conversations that okay, she's already asking me questions and we can get there. But a lot of times it's just building a relationship without the expectation. So Megan, I don't know if you have anything else to add to that or a different perspective.
No, sorry, I was looking at the questions.
You're fine. The other thing I would say is if you do want to try to give it a shot, something I ask a lot is I ask about what they do for a living. If it gets there and it feels natural and we start just talking about life, and then they always ask me what I do too. And then also, if you've been chit-chatting with a girl for, 2 or 3 months and she's still watching, she's interested. Of course she's interested. So then at some point you're like, okay, you've been watching and we've been friends, so like, why are you not joining? But you can't expect to go from chit-chat to customer like in a day. And a lot of times girls I sign up to be customers, that conversation Megan is talking about, sometimes it takes a week, and that's okay with me. That's why you have to start pushing from March 1st and not start pushing on March 15th, because they want to know that you care and that you're going to have a genuine conversation, not like rushing her through the process.
Yeah.
Can I say something really quick?
Yeah. I don't know who.
Okay. Courtney Harden.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I was just going to say, just kind of clarify that page. So a lot of times the conversation ends where you're chatting about dogs or life or whatever. And then eventually they'll come back and be like, okay, so tell me a little bit more about this group. Or, okay, so what do you actually do as a coach? So that's kind of how the conversation leads into that versus like chatting about a dog. And then you're like, so you want to join my group? Or, like that's so awkward and so salesy that just leave it at the relationship building conversation. And then eventually those people will keep watching and come back to you.
Okay, I saw Jackie's question, so I wanted to respond to that. So the question in the chat is, if they don't respond, so I kept talking about end every single conversation, every little thing you say, end it in a question. She said, if they don't respond to a question, do you follow up? If so, how? And I love giving this example. I don't know if I have with you guys, but I was asking a girl, I did it on the Beach Ride Champions call, but I was talking to this girl about the like hair stuff or whatever. I don't know. I'm going to butcher the name, Mona, or whatever. I don't know. Anyways, so I was asking her about it because prenatal hair is like the devil. Like this hair is insane right now. And so I was like asking her just like about the products and things like that. I was like, what do you do? And she's like, oh, well, you could try this, you could try that. And I never responded to her. I kind of like, it was one of those things like the pricing just wasn't right for me. And so I didn't respond. She didn't ask me a question that I ignored or anything like that. But she never followed up with me, y'all. And this was like 3-4 months ago. And she still has never like checked back in with me. And I feel like that's like just bad customer service. So just like to respond to your question, like, do I follow up? Hell yes, I follow up. Like I want them to know that like, especially if they told me they were interested or they were working on health goals or something like that, it is my job to check back in to see how she is doing. You have no idea how many times I've checked back in with someone and been like, hey, like, how are you doing with your goal to lose 15 pounds? Or how are you doing with your goal to, be more consistent in your workouts, or whatever it is that they said their goal was. That is not salesy at all to ask her how she's doing. Like she shared something that was probably very vulnerable with me. And it is my job to, even if she doesn't join me, to see how she's doing, because I care about her. Okay. So keep that in mind. You do have to track people to be able to do that though. Like you have to write names down and you have to be able to track when you have those conversations and when you need to follow up with them. So with that, if I am like in the middle of one of those conversations about their goals or whatever it is, I usually give them 2 days because we're busy, and I can't tell you how many times like please, if you ask me a question and I don't respond, you better be asking me that question again if I don't respond in 2 days, because I probably read it, thought I responded, and I never did respond. And that's probably what's happening. They think they're responding, but they didn't actually physically respond. It happens all the time. And I didn't realize that it did, but it does. And And I might just like, how would I follow up? I just say, hey, you're probably busy. And then I'd ask the question again, or like, I realize you're probably busy, but just wanted to see if, and then I'd ask the question again. It's not creepy or weird or anything like that. I promise. I would appreciate if someone did that to me. What if you follow up and then she ghosts you in that follow up? I follow up 2 times, and if they ghost me 2 times, not worth it. Next person. Who else can I help? That's what I say.
Yeah, and I wanted to respond there to Jenna's question. You've talked about this before, I jumped on, but how do you expand your friends' followers so that you're able to start more conversations? I don't think there are any tricks. We've talked about this a lot on our page. Like, it's not about the number of followers you have, it's about how you're impacting the 100 followers that you do have. So if you've not made a connection with every 100 people that are following you, if that's all you have, then you have work to do. So just making sure that you're influencing the people you have, and kind of going back to the conversation of you build your community one girl at a time. If you are not inspiring the 100, you're not going to inspire the 100,000. And I think that you build a following by showing up every single day and just being you. Something that I forgot to mention when I was talking was I asked today why people hang around my page and why they stay. And not one person said I'm awesome at program launches. Not one person said I love your preset. Not one person said I like health and fitness. Not one person. They said you're funny, you're real, you're down to earth, I feel like you're my friend, you're genuine and you don't shove products down people's throats, dancing, all of those things. People don't care about anything but who you are as a person. And whenever you're finally able to show up and just be you, that's probably when your following will grow. But I'm a pretty big stickler about inspire the girls you have, and the followers will come and they won't. And either way, you can be successful.
The pre-chance. I like that. Okay. Let me say, when you invite friends to dinner, we don't spend the whole dinner party out in the streets inviting more people. Serve the people you already have. I love that, Lauren. Do you message or thank you the company, or no, Belinda? I only build relationships with people who are women. Like, there's no need to build a relationship with someone who's another company, unless it's a company I'm interested in. You know, if it's something that I'm like, oh, dude, they're, you know, like I could see myself buying that. Then I'll build a relationship with them because maybe we could partner up somehow. But other than that.
And I'll say, if you're getting a lot of companies, you need to change your hashtags.
No, I would let them follow you. Yeah, Belinda says, do you block them or keep them follow you? I mean, they're a follower, so I wouldn't like try to block them unless like if they're dudes, I block dudes. I don't have a lot of guys that follow me, which is awesome. Maybe it's because I don't talk about things that are interesting to guys. So I don't get that. Are you seeing anything else?
Sarah said, when you have people ask right away what you're doing workout wise, how do you not word vomit everything about it? I feel like I turn into kiosk girl. So I had a lot of people asking me when I switched programs what I was doing, and I just say something very simple, a 1-sentence answer like, I'm doing my brand new 3-week program that is cardio and core focused or whatever. And then usually I'll ask them a question like, are you currently doing a program, or are you looking for a new program, or something like that. You will lead the conversation without word vomiting. And really the more simple, the better, because then they're going to ask you the questions and then you'll be able to give them simple answers.
Yeah, I love that. And especially if someone asks about like, what's in your shake, I'll say something really general, like, and I always try to say like how it helps me. So like Paige said, you know, how the exercise helps you, like why are you doing that workout program? Like, you know, I am doing this 3-week program so I can prepare for the cruise I'm going on in 3 weeks, or, you know, cause it's my favorite program that really helps me, you know, lean out or something like that. Or if someone asks about Shakeology, I'll say like, you know, it's this nutrient dense shake that totally changed my fatigue with my hypothyroidism. So like, do you see how I'm not just like saying like, oh, it's this shake that has these vitamins and minerals and da 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 da. Like I say, it's nutrient dense shake. Here's how it had helped me. Like that's a part of my story. And so I want to include that in there.
Something else I want to mention about chit-chatting. I have chit-chatted with a lot of girls, and it will go back and forth between let's talk about my groups, and then we're back to chit-chatting, and then we're back to my groups, and then we're back to chit-chatting. So something I do a lot is say we talked about the groups a while ago, and we're back to chit-chatting, and randomly, I don't even care how awkward she feels about it, we're talking about Murph. I'm like, hey, by the way, we talked like 3 months ago about you joining. Is that something you're still thinking about? So she knows. Like, I just go back through our conversation, and I have the longest conversations with people just because I find it fun, really, just about random stuff. But I'll scroll back and see what have we been talking about in the past, and how can I bring that around? Because imagine how good she feels. A lot of women are like, they wonder if we even have time for them. So if you can then reference something that we talked about with her 2 months ago, she's gonna be like, she does care. Like, she knows that I'm a person, and I am a product of this. I don't know if I've really mentioned that, but Megan started by girl flirting with me from a vacation. And the moment she commented on my picture, in my brain, I was like, okay, she's normal. Like, she loves Waco too, and she likes this vacation, so I can reach out to her. And not only that, but I knew that I could trust her because her conversations with me were genuine. And she took the time to explain everything to me, and she asked me pointed questions, and it meant the world to me. I knew for a fact that she was not like other pyramid scheme or like MLMs out there. And it didn't feel like that to me at all. And when I see other people posting like that still, I'm like, I'm a part of something totally different than that. I just am. And I feel like we're completely different, but we just handle ourselves differently. We're about relationships.
We're getting some awesome questions. Someone said, do you reach out to people who are in other MLMs if they follow you, like it works? I usually don't. I don't know. I don't ever want anybody to think that our team does not have integrity. And so I very much never want anybody to think that I'm trying to like swoon them on to Beachbody if they're part of a different company. Like if someone reaches out to me or something like that, or I might say like, hey, I see you're also a fellow girl boss. Like, hope you have a great, hope you're doing great with your company. So I try to keep it very like general, like they've got their own thing. Let them do their own thing.
Katie, one of my favorite questions is, what's the main thing holding you back from committing right now? And a lot of times they're going to respond, and it's usually not the price. So just be prepared. It's usually fear of failure, I find. And then the other thing is be super confident about what we offer for the price, because it is a really good deal. And the more you believe that, the more it's going to come out when you're talking to women.
And people are busy, you guys, and they need to think about it. If someone threw out, like, we can afford $160. I can buy $160 right now, but if someone told me that something was $160, I would go and talk to my husband about it. I would not go pull out a credit card. We don't have a credit card. I would not pull out my debit card and buy it. Like, I would take a day to think about it. So be okay with people who are not impulse buyers. Be okay with people who are not impulse buyers. It's all right. Give them time. I give them 2 days. Usually they've made a decision within a full 24 to 48 hours. Abigail says, what do you do when someone says they're ready to sign up, but then they ghost you? Follow up 2 times. If they don't, put them on the list for next month. Like, it's just, there is a set system, you guys. Like, you don't hear back from them, give them 2 days. You don't hear back from them, give it another couple of days, and then forget about them. Move on to someone next. You should have more than 3 people in your funnel right now. You should have a list of people to have conversations with, to follow up with. And if not, go back and rewatch this thing and find out what Paige is doing of how to have those conversations. I don't freak out. If someone, like, they're not ready yet. It had nothing to do with me. They are not ready. So move on. Who's next? Who else can I help?
You have to stop coming from the scarcity mindset of, these are the only 3 women I can help this month. These are the only 3 women who are, look around, go to Walmart. Everybody is overweight.
Paige.
For real. Like, so many people need our help. So those 3 women are not the only women that you can help this month. Literally, every time I go out into public, I'm like, I can't stand when people say that this is oversaturated or we don't have enough people to help. You probably have 5 people in your family who can stand to lose 10 pounds. So, like, they are not your only 3 people. So we have to stop acting like that's all there is. Like, we could help 50 people, all of us, probably.
And Meg, I do have my binder. I use it. It's nothing fancy, but I have potential challengers. I just have their names, where I am talking to them, either email, Facebook, Instagram, what their goals are, and then I have like little boxes over here that I can write dates in. And it's nothing fancy. It's just really simple. I like paper and pencil for some reason. Holy moly, lots of questions. Yeah, Taylor, I will share that for sure. I think it is in Spirit and Spunk, but I'll have to find it back.
I personally do reach out to people who watch my story, especially if they're watching daily or if they're watching like the whole thing. And to find new people, search locations that you go to a lot, search like restaurants that you love. If you go to like a certain church, or if there's a big church, I search this church in Springfield a lot to see who's hashtagging or tagging location there. Like, there's an endless number of people that you can connect with. The other thing I really love to do is specific authors I like who have big followings. I go through, and one of my tricks is I'll go to their followers or who's liked their stuff. And if you see, like, you're going to see their profile picture, and if it has a circle around it, it means that they're active on their story. And especially, like, I want girls who are active on Instagram, and if they're posting stories, then they're probably going to make a good coach if they're already doing that for no reason. So sometimes I only follow people, girls, who have the circle around their name.
Paige, you want to answer Alyssa's and I'll answer Chelsea's?
Yes. Alyssa says, if they continue to watch your stories, what do you say to them, or how do you reach out to them? I just say something like, hey, I see you watching my stories pretty frequently. Have you ever thought about joining? I mean, I just call it out.
And Chelsea talked about a lot of women who are currently pregnant say they're interested, but will reach out again after they have their baby. Do I wait the 7 to 9 months, or do I try to talk to them about a healthy pregnancy? I think that just kind of depends. I would say if they said that they're going to be interested after the baby, you're probably not going to talk her into starting now. I would write it down and follow up, though. I just got a message from a girl saying, hey, in 2 weeks, I'm at my 6-week postpartum, and I want to sign up again under you as a coach. So women do. Postpartum, they want to, especially if you've been through that also.
Madeline, I think that's just person to person. For me personally.
Madeline, that's a great question. Paige and I actually have 2 different examples of that. I actually used my personal account. Whoops.
Yeah, I had to make a new one because I had a lot of guys following me. I had former students following me, and it just worked out better for me to create a new one.
Okay. Are we good? That was awesome, the amount of questions. Thank you guys for being so engaged. Okay, the best thing to do is to implement this. Maybe don't implement everything. Take something and start with something this week. Maybe it's the 15 minutes and you go and you are engaged with people on their stories. Maybe it's whatever it might be, but take something. You just spent an hour with us. Do not spend an hour of your life and not implement something that we just talked about. So we'll have this recorded and shared, and then I want you guys to, underneath that, we're going to ask what you are going to implement or what you are implementing from this call in your conversations or starting your conversations. So anything else, Paige?
Nope. I just say always remember it's about the girls you're helping. It's about other people. Always, always, always focus on building relationships.
Okay. Yes, we will share the link to the slides for sure. All right. You guys have a great rest of your Sunday and an awesome week.